Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome to a video that I have been wanting to do on this channel for such a long time. I have wanted to talk about this topic for a while and I never really got around to it. Sometimes I just procrastinate, I kind of like push something out of the way, you know, I just keep kind of marinating on the idea, then trying to come up with like a script of sorts and a whole a little cheat sheet of information, you know. But today's topic is something that I actually know quite a bit about, and I'll be able to give you guys a lot of information, quite possibly without the need for too much research, because I consider myself to be an expert on haunted doll mythology, specifically Annabelle. I'm pretty sure you guys know who Annabelle is at this point, right? But I'm not talking about the one that you see in Hollywood's Conjuring movies, you know? That is a completely fabricated work of fiction, you know? It's something that has very little plausibility with what actually happened in real life. And just in case you guys don't know, there are actually 3 Annabelle movies right now in the canon lore, which is the first one, which establishes the doll as coming into the... It establishes how the doll was made haunted in the first place because a girl committed suicide and her spirit went into it, you know. Then demonic activity followed. Then we had the sequel, which is actually a prequel called Annabelle Creation, which actually showed this exact same doll being created so many years earlier and how it affected an orphanage, you know, girls who were there and were starting to be haunted and terrorized, you know, and how the evil was actually found in the doll in the first place. Then later we have another sequel called Annabelle Comes Home, which is now, it takes place much later, you know, back in the present day, where the doll has been apprehended by the Warrens, you know, Ed and Lorraine. They take it to their museum home in Connecticut, but then they travel, and then their daughter and a few friends are left by themselves, and then that's when all hell breaks loose, you know. I've actually reviewed two of these movies before in my Cinema Chazzy playlist. You guys can go check them out later. But anyway, so did you guys know that the whole Annabelle mythology series is based on a true story? That's right, guys, and it is actually pretty damn creepy. It's a little unsettling. However, I will go on to say that what we see in the movies is still much more creepier than what would actually happen in real life, you know. It was more like an isolated incident with a few other things sprinkled here and there happening, but in general, I still think that Hollywood and being very creative and taking a lot of liberties with the things that they do, they created something much more frightening than actually happened in real life, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Now, the real Annabelle doll, for starters, looks absolutely nothing at all like her Hollywood counterpart. Matter of fact, the real Annabelle doll is a very cute and innocent looking Raggedy Ann doll, even though to me it is still a little bit unsettling, you know, because something about that thing, man, you know, like I don't know, because it's a big doll, and it has an even bigger head and a constant smile, you know, and really big eyes, you know. It's just, ugh, God, I don't know. Just thinking about it kind of unsettles me a little bit. I'm going to show you guys a few photos here of the doll in real life. Pretty creepy, right? Let's be real. It is a little creepy. Come on, it is a little, like, even if you didn't know that it was supposedly possessed by a demon, that doll just looks weird, man. But anyway, so the story goes that in 1970 a nurse was given this doll as a gift, but then soon afterwards she started noticing a few strange things happening around her house, you know. Apparently she had a roommate who was also a nurse, you know, and they started to notice that they would leave the doll in a certain place, and then when they came back home later, sometime later, the doll would be in a different position altogether, you know. So it's like, okay, hold on a second, only both of us live here. Nobody else has the key, and we left the house and the doll has moved positions. That's a little weird. Like, the first time you do, they might be able to chalk it up to, I don't know, what if you put the doll sitting down on a sofa and you come back later and it's laying down? Okay, that's normal. It might have just fallen over, you know? But we're talking like you leave it on the sofa and then suddenly it's sitting down in the kitchen chair. You know, that kind of thing, you know? And one time, apparently, one of them saw the doll standing up, even though it literally can't because it's Raggedy Ann. Like, the material in the doll does not allow it to stand up, you know? So it shouldn't have been possible. And then this would keep persisting, you know, and I think they would start to find notes, you know, with stuff written on them, you know, that they knew they didn't even leave there. Something like, I think that the first movie plays around with the concept of, like, for example, they see notes they see messages written in scotch paper. I don't know what the term is, I forgot, but like parchment of sorts, you know, and they did not own parchment, they just had regular paper. So they started to think it was a little creepy, so they called in a psychic medium who told told them that the doll was actually inhabited by a little girl, you know, the spirit of a little girl who just wanted some affection, you know, that she just wanted to be loved, you know, wanted some attention. And of course they fell for it because human beings are stupid as hell. And then later, when they actually give the doll permission, they give the spirit permission to inhabit the doll and stay with them, that's when stuff starts going downhill. Because, well, one of the nurse's boyfriends stayed over a certain night, you know, and then he woke up in the middle of the night completely paralyzed. He was awake, you know, his eyes were open, but he couldn't feel him. He was unable to move. He was paralyzed. And he saw the doll at the edge of the bed, and then it started to slowly float towards him, you know. And then the doll took her hands and started choking him, you know, and then he eventually he snapped out of it. He was able to move, and then he found out the next day that he had scratches on his chest or his back, I believe, you know, almost like claw marks. So that was essentially the final straw, and that's when eventually the Warrens got involved and took the doll to their little museum. But this was already enough to create, well, a movie and 2 spin-offs. This was apparently enough fodder for Hollywood to go on and create this whole entire Annabelle mythology that connects into the Conjuring universe. Now, the real story is apparently very isolated, you know, that's all that happened. Although, after the doll was taken to the Warrens' Connecticut Museum, the occult museum, sometime later, it was actually put on display in a glass case, which apparently is like a priest comes by once a month to bless it or something like that, you know. So there are a few safety precautions. Although it's funny because the doll is sitting down on a chair. It's like, yeah, so there's a demon attached to this thing. I'm going to isolate you in this glass case for all eternity, but I want you to be comfortable. You know, I want you to sit down and be cozy, you know, be comfy, you know, don't get back pains or anything. And I love how like only a glass case is apparently enough to keep the evil isolated into this thing. But anyway, sometime later, Hollywood decided to take this story and turn it into a film. The first movie was actually pretty okay. I really enjoyed the sequel and know it was actually much better. But then again, I did watch the first movie like freaking a dozen times, so probably got a little stale. Annabelle Comes Home was also cool, but it was too cliche. There were too many jump scares, everything with too many tropes, you know, and the characters were just insanely stupid, one of them in particular. So my favorite would have to be Annabelle Creation. Now, what did Hollywood do? Well, they took the doll and made it out to be intentionally frightening as all freaking hell. They made the thing, like, guys, I mean, they made the doll look like it was like it was made to be possessed. Like, you know, it's like you look at the doll and you're supposed to be scared, you know. It's like this doll has to be possessed because they made it look so freaking scary, you know. This, in case you guys don't know, but I'm pretty sure you do, here are a few photos of what the Annabelle Hollywood doll looked like. Why? Why did you? I know you're supposed to make a horror movie where the doll is actually supposed to be scary, but why would you go out of your way to make it so intentionally scary? Like, why not? Here's something that always bugged me. Why not use the real, actual Raggedy Ann doll? Like, is there like something that, was there like a copyright claim, you know, and Hollywood just can't get through copyright? Hollywood does not have the power to license something and use it in a certain work of fiction, you know? I don't understand, because it would have made a lot more sense. However, there is a little Easter egg at the end of Annabelle Creation where one of the characters whose name is actually Annabelle, well, no. She calls herself Annabelle, but her name is actually, you know what, I forgot, man. But anyway, the point is that they try to, because it's not enough for them to make a standalone movie. No, they have to somehow connect it to all the other movies. So they took the sequel and they connected it to the first one by making the girl whose name was Annabelle, you know, the one who killed her parents and was part of the cult, you know, and whatnot. And then, apparently they made her out to be the orphan who was possessed in the sequel, you know. They made her out to grow up to be the girl who, it's really convoluted and it doesn't make any sense at all. But the point is that the foster parents, they bring her the actual real Raggedy Ann doll, like a real literal Raggedy Ann doll, you know, which is actually really cool. It was a nice moment, but there was very little payout, you know, because it doesn't make any sense, man. Now you're just crossing streams. Like you have a fictional version of Annabelle who's a lot scarier than the real one, and then you bring the real one in to serve as just a freaking Easter egg. You guys are killing me here. But anyway, you could have made the doll look at least a little less scary, you know, even though as the movies goes on, she starts to get more and more worn out and dirty, you know, and scratched. So she does start to look scary by herself. But one thing that we have to consider, guys, the doll itself presents no danger at all. We see in the first Annabelle movie that it's actually a demon who is physically controlling the doll like a puppet, you know. So the doll itself is harmless, you know. It's the demonic force attached to it it. That's the real danger, you know? And we see this happening a lot in the movies, you know, and it's interesting because in Annabelle Creation, I like how I'm getting more into the movies now instead of the actual doll. In Annabelle Creation, we see the scene playing out where a door is open where the doll is inside, and then it can't be closed anymore because you let the demonic force out. So the doll itself was never an issue. But then again, there was a moment, well, in real life now, I forgot when exactly it was, where apparently a boyfriend, a guy and his girlfriend, a couple, went to visit the occult museum in Connecticut, and then it seems like the guy he was driving a motorcycle, right? And he provoked Annabelle to some degree. Whatever he said, I don't really know, but he said something that, you know, angered Ed to the point where he actually ushered him and his girlfriend out of there. And then he actually got on the motorcycle, him and his girlfriend, to leave. And then while speeding down the highway, they got into an accident. And even though both of them were wearing helmets, only the boyfriend died. The girlfriend survived. Coincidence? Maybe. I actually don't really know, to be honest, but I mean, it's just one isolated incident, but it is enough for me to kind of be a little, yep, I'm definitely not going to provoke Annabelle if I ever even go to the museum. These kinds of things really interest me. I'm really interested, you know, with this kind of thing, and I would actually be interested in seeing the occult museum in real life, but the problem is that I'm a little bit of a scaredy cat. You know, this might not show too much on YouTube, but even though I like horror movies and games and books, I'm really afraid of certain things, guys, you know? I mean, like, I don't have any rational fears, but like certain things that are already known to be cursed and possessed, I'm a little bit, you know, I don't know, I have a religious background, okay, so I don't really like provoking these kinds of things, so I'm just gonna leave it at that, you know. But anyway, there actually is a real life basis behind the Annabelle movies in Hollywood, and I think it's really cool to talk about this, you know, even if it was a little short. I really enjoy giving you guys these really cool backgrounds, you know, about certain things, and I don't know, I just think it's really nice. I think it's really cool, and I'm a big fan of The Conjuring, Annabelle, you know. I've reviewed quite a few of them in the past, and we'll probably review more as time goes on. Maybe I'll do like a whole series review or something, I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, in case you guys didn't know that there was a real story attached to it, well, now you do. You guys can go look this up for yourself. A lot of really cool articles to read about it. I hope you guys liked it, and if you did, give this video a like, and also subscribe to my channel because I post videos literally every single day. Sometimes one, sometimes two, you never know. And I never tell anyone what time I'm gonna upload, so you guys have to hit the notification bell to know exactly what time of the day my videos will be coming out. You know, that goes without saying. And that's it for now, guys. Lock your doors tonight, you know, turn off all the lights, and beware, because you might just see a doll coming up on the window. That's it, guys. This is Chazzy, signing out for now, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Roll the outro screen.